Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jai Gopijana Vallabha, Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopijana Vallabha, Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura, Hari Bol. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajakacharya, Ashtottara Sata His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Aravinda, Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra Mai ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. I'm very, very happy to be with all of you in Moscow and perhaps in other parts of Russia as well. So, to all the Priyadne, I hope your Saznani Krishna is going on well. I also hope that you are safe and healthy and are taking all the required precautions in the time of this coronavirus pandemic. It is also an opportunity to go more deeper into our Krishna consciousness, because much of our normal life is disrupted and we are required to be at home, or at least to reduce our activities outside the home. So many devotees are finding this to be a spiritually very rejuvenating period, apart from the fact that there is some stress. There are also issues that pertain to being confined to the home and not being able to go out. There are economic issues that come as a result of this. But nevertheless, overall, I think devotees are making good use of this opportunity, and I hope all of you are also able to do that. Today, I will be speaking on the topic of the importance of seeing the deities of the Lord. Now, deity worship is a big topic, so I will not be covering that. Although naturally, seeing the deity is also part of deity worship, so there will be some reference to deity worship. Similarly, the philosophy of what the deity is a topic in itself. I will not be focusing on that either, although some reference to that will also naturally be there. The focus of my talk will be specifically on seeing the deities. Now, of course, because we are not able to go to the temple. And in any case, most of our temples are closed, or the timings are very much restricted. So we have to be satisfied with darshan of the deities on the internet, which is also nice. But at the same time, there are certain special benefits in going to the temple of the Lord to see the deities. There is an opportunity to associate with the devotees there. There is an opportunity to chant the names in the association of devotees. There is an opportunity to hear the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. There is an opportunity to do various types of services. So we hope that this pandemic does not last very long, and that all of us are able to go back to the temples and lead our normal devotional life. Now, I'm sure that most of you, if not all of you, are aware that there is a Sanskrit word for seeing the deities with our eyes. And that word is darshan. So I think you're all familiar with this word, darshan. So darshan comes from the root, verbal root, drish, which means to see. So it is very common for devotees to say, I went for darshan of the deities today. Or I had darshan of such and such temple today. Or even if it's an exalted devotee, I had darshan of such and such devotee today. Although the word darshan generally means to see, it is specifically used for seeing the forms of the Lord and also his great devotees and his paraphernalia, including his holy abodes. So the word darshan is generally used for something that is divine and very, very respectable. So it's interesting to note that the Sanskrit word for philosophy is also darshan. Now, what does the word philosophy mean? Philosophy means to understand, study, or examine the nature of reality. What is reality? Reality is God. Reality is the self. Reality is the world around us, the universe. And then there are the interactions of these three categories. So philosophy is the study of these categories and their interactions. So basically, philosophy means acquiring knowledge about the world through various means. This philosophy is generally synonymously used with knowledge or understanding of something. We may tell somebody, what is your philosophy of life? So we mean to say, what is the way you understand life? What is the purpose of life for you? So understanding, realizing, analyzing, this is all what philosophy is about. And all of this gives us knowledge. So, knowledge is primarily acquired through the years. So, hearing is the most important way to acquire knowledge. But we also acquire knowledge through the other senses. So, all these senses like the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the skin, these are called the knowledge acquiring senses. Because we acquire knowledge of the world around us through these senses. The word aksha in Sanskrit generally means eyes. For example, Kamalaksha is the name of Krishna, the lotus-eyed one. But the word aksha also means senses. Because the senses, like the eyes, are used to gather knowledge about the world. So when we speak of seeing, we should also speak of knowing. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is a famous verse, Tad Viddhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshyanti Te Jnanam Jnaninas Tattvadarshinaha. The meaning of this is that one should be desirous of knowing the truth, and one should approach a bona fide spiritual master who has seen the truth, and one should approach, ask questions submissively, render service, and in this way one will understand. One should offer service to that devotee. In this way one will also understand the spiritual knowledge. So the word used here is tattvadarshi. Tattva means the truth. Darshi means one who is seeing. Darshan and darshi. Darshan is the act of seeing, and darshi is the one who sees. So tattvadarshi means one who has seen the truth. So one should approach a personality who has seen the truth in order to learn from such a person about spiritual knowledge. Now, the word tattvadarshi here does not mean that the person literally is seeing with his eyes. The word tattvadarshi, or one who has seen the truth, implies one who has known the truth, one who knows the truth. So the word seeing and knowing, these two words are used synonymously when it comes to acquisition of spiritual knowledge. So therefore, the word philosophy means darshan because it is knowledge. And then with that knowledge, one sees things differently. You see, seeing something with knowledge on one hand and seeing something without knowledge on the other hand, there is a lot of difference between these two. I often give the example of a doctor. When we go to a doctor with our X-ray films or a CT scan film or a blood test report, we cannot make any sense of it. For us, it appears just something unintelligible. We can't make any sense of it. But for the doctor, it makes a lot of sense. For us, the X-ray film is just some patches of white and black, and we really don't know what's going on there. But a doctor can see it and understand what's wrong with us. So does the doctor have some special eyes? Has the doctor done some magic to his eyes that he can see something that we can't see in the same film or the same sheet of paper? No, the doctor's eyes are just like our eyes. But the doctor has one thing which we don't have, which is the medical knowledge that has been acquired. Because of that training and acquiring medical knowledge, now when the doctor sees those reports, he or she sees something different from what we see without knowledge. So therefore, it is important that one learns to see anything with knowledge. It will change our whole approach and our whole perspective. So similarly with the deity, there is a lot of difference between seeing the deity without spiritual knowledge and with spiritual knowledge. There are many non-devotees who, and some of them perhaps may have some hostile or an inimical attitude. They may see the deity of Lord Krishna as just a statue of stone or wood or metal, and they don't realize why the devotees are standing there gazing at the deities for so long, and why the devotees take so much pain and trouble and spend so much money to decorate what they think are statues or dolls with so much devotion and love. But the devotees have knowledge. So when they see the deity, they don't just see a statue. They don't just see a doll. They see Lord Krishna directly, that the deity is non-different from Krishna. Pratima nahitumi sakshat Rajendra Nandana. In the pastime of Sakshi Gopal in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the young Brahmana says this line. He says to Gopal, the deity Gopal, you are not a statue, you are directly the son of Nanda Maharaj. So, when one sees the deity, one has darshan with the physical eyes. If one has had darshan, that is the knowledge, then that darshan with the eyes becomes fulfilling. It becomes meaningful. It becomes joyful. Because we are seeing the deity for what he is, Krishna himself. The primary process of acquiring knowledge is hearing, as I mentioned earlier. So therefore, we acquire knowledge by hearing, which means philosophy or darshan by hearing. So we have acquired the philosophy of Saznaniya Krishna by hearing. So therefore the Srimad Bhagavatam tells us that we have to learn to see Krishna with our ears first. Seeing Krishna with our ears is more important than seeing Krishna with our eyes. Because if we have seen Krishna through the years, in other words, if we have acquired the proper philosophical understanding of Krishna consciousness, then we will be able to have darshan with our eyes correctly, properly. When there is the hearing of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam on a regular basis, when there is the hearing and chanting of the holy names of the Lord, when the devotee renders various other types of services, then that hearing and service increases the faith of the devotee. Then this faith matures step by step, progressively, into devotion. And as one progresses in Krishna consciousness, the devotion intensifies. So when there is darshan, meaning knowledge, which has entered by hearing and that is transformed into faith and devotion, and then one takes darshan with the eyes, then that leads to a very, very beautiful, loving, transcendental reciprocation with the deity. So there are two types of darshan, the hearing with, seeing with the ears and seeing with the eyes. So the complete darshan is when we do both types of darshans together. I will read one portion of a letter Srila Prabhupada wrote to one devotee about taking darshan of the deities. Quote, remember that Krishna is personally present in the temple. He is kindly presenting himself before us in a way that we can handle him. That is his mercy. Otherwise, he is unapproachable. So, by the process of hearing, we are able to realize the presence of the Lord in the temple. Yes, that this is Krishna directly. So when sometimes devotees say, can you show me God? We say, yes, come. We will show you God in the temple. Here he is. But he will say, I don't have faith. This is just a statue. So then you prepare him and say, I give the example of the doctor and the X-ray film, and tell him you first see with your ears. Then you will see with your eyes. Don't demand that you should immediately see with your eyes. In Sanskrit, there is, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a word called Shrutekshita. Shruta means the ear. Ikshita means to see. So Shrutekshita means that one should see through the ears. So Srila Prabhupada in one place mentions, I will read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25, text number 36. I will read the translation. Upon seeing the charming forms of the Lord, smiling and attractive, and hearing his very pleasing words, the pure devotee almost loses all other consciousness. His senses are freed from all other engagements, and he becomes absorbed in devotional service. Thus, in spite of his unwillingness, he attains liberation without separate endeavor. It's interesting. First, this is the teaching of Kapiladev to his mother Devahuti. So first of all, the forms of the Lord are called Darshaniya. Darshan means to see, and Darshaniya means worth seeing. So actually the forms of the Lord are the only things worth seeing in this world. And they're worth seeing because they're so charming. And the Lord is smiling. And he's casting his glances, ikshita. So when a devotee sees that form of the Lord, even if he doesn't have that intention, he actually starts becoming liberated. So I will read a section of the purport here. It is explained in this verse that although the third class devotees do not have knowledge, simply by seeing the beautiful decoration of the deity in the temple, the devotee is absorbed in thought of him and loses all other consciousness. Simply by fixing oneself in Krishna consciousness, engaging the senses in the service of the Lord, one is imperceptibly liberated. This means that even without knowing it, one is actually getting liberated step by step every time one sees the deity of the Lord, and every time one performs even the smallest of services to Krishna. So this is a very important point. So remember, the next time you go to see the deity of the Lord, you have progressed on the path of liberation, even if you are not realizing it. And later in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, it is a prescribed duty in temple worship that not only should one visit the temple to see the deity nicely decorated, but at the same time, he should hear the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita or some similar literature, which is regularly recited in the temple. So therefore, the temple has many purposes, but two of the important purposes are to take darshan with the ears and to take darshan with the eyes. Darshan with the ears means we hear the philosophy and we hear the holy names. And seeing with the eyes means we see the beautiful forms of the Lord with our physical eyes. And in the verse before this one, that is text number 35, Lord Kapila tells his mother, "Oh, my mother, my devotees always see the smiling face of my form, with eyes like the rising morning sun. They like to see my various transcendental forms, which are all benevolent. And they also talk favorably with me. So the Lord's face on the altar is always smiling pleasantly. Have you ever seen a deity in which the Lord's face is grim and angry and serious?" The Lord is always having a pleasant, slight smile on his face in the deity form. And Kapila Dev says, "My devotees also like to talk to me," meaning they like to talk to the deity. And that is possible only when you have faith that the deity is a person, that the deity is actually Krishna standing there. You know, I usually tell the authorities in a temple, in our ISKCON temples, that periodically they should read out a report of the temple, the activities, the finances, the preaching, etc. Go onto the altar and on a sheet of paper, write down your report and read it out to the deity. And it is a test of faith also. So you must have faith that you're reading out to not a statue, but directly the Lord is present in front of you, and you look at the Lord like that with that devotion. So anyway, in this purport here, Srila Prabhupada gives an interesting explanation of the devotee talking to the deity. The devotees express their minds before the deity. And in many instances, the deity gives answers. But one must be a very elevated devotee in order to be able to speak with the Supreme Lord. Sometimes the devotees, sometimes the Lord informs the devotee through dreams. These exchanges of feelings between the deity and the devotee are not understandable by atheists, but actually the devotee enjoys them. Kapila Muni is explaining how the devotees see the decorated body and face of the deity and how they speak with him in devotional service. Now, all of you have probably heard about how Sanatan Goswami in Vrindavan, he used to speak to his deity, Madan Mohan. And there was such a pleasant interaction between the two. It was a very intimate exchange between the two. Before the Madan Mohan temple was built, Sanatan Goswami used to carry the deity of Madan Mohan in a cloth bag, and the cloth bag used to hang around his neck. And whenever he slept in the night under a tree, he would hang that cloth bag on a branch, he would feed the deity whatever he got by begging here and there amongst the Brajabasis. And one time, Madan Mohan told Sanatan Goswami, Sanatan, you're giving me all these chapatis, but at least put some salt in it. And Sanatan replied, whatever I feed you is what you provide me. I'm a beggar, I go out begging. It is by your arrangement that I get certain types of food, and I don't get certain types of food. So if you want salt, then you have to arrange for it. I'm simply a beggar. What can I keep giving you? And furthermore, now you're asking for salt. Tomorrow you will ask for sugar. You will ask for various types of sweets. I can't give all of these things to you. So please be satisfied with what I'm providing you. So in this way, Sanatan Goswami interacted in such an intimate way with his deity. Of course, we cannot artificially imitate that. But it gives us an understanding of how the devotees relate to the Lord and even converse with him, as Kapila Muni says here and as Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. There is another instance of a devotee in the Sri Sampradaya who used to regularly talk with the deity. And the deity one time told him that this is your last life and you're going back to Vaikuntha at the end of this life. And then this devotee warned the Lord. And he said, if in Vaikuntha you do not look like you are looking now exactly, then I don't want to go to Vaikuntha. So in this way, the darshan of the Lord becomes so meaningful. The pure devotee, the advanced devotee sees the deity more and more deeply. So there is a darshan by the ears, there is darshan by the eyes, and there is darshan through the heart. So when the philosophy extends itself, then it becomes a darshan through the heart. That is when the heart is full of devotion. So therefore, in the more advanced we are in Krishna consciousness, the more our love for Krishna, the deeper will be our darshan of the Lord, of the deity. The more the realizations we will get. And the newer and newer aspects of his form and personality will be revealed to us from the deity. So, darshan with the ears, darshan through the eyes, darshan with the heart. So generally, to move on now, at another point, the topic is very big, actually. One can go on, and there are many other things to say. I will just conclude. I have left out many points here. But I will just conclude by saying 2 points. One point is that although it is not a hard and fast rule, but generally one begins darshan, as Srila Prabhupada explains, by looking at the lotus feet of the deity and then moving gradually up to his lotus face. The form of the Lord is compared to the Srimad Bhagavatam. The first canto are his lotus feet, and the 10th canto represent his lotus face. So just as we take darshan from the lotus feet up to the lotus face, similarly, when we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, we should not directly go to the Rasa Leela in the 10th canto. Rather, we should start from the first canto and move on. And by the way, we still have a few minutes left. So those of you who wish to ask questions, you may please do so in the chat box. You can write in your questions. So you have time now to think about your questions and type them out. And then once I finish the talk in a few minutes, then I will answer the questions one by one. The final point I want to make is that there is one more reason for us wanting to go to the temple to take darshan of the deity. So we go there to see the Lord and we get great happiness, yes. But we should also go to the temple not just to see the Lord, but also to let the Lord see us. So this is a very important point. After all, the Lord has descended in the form of the deity, not for the atheists. He has descended in the form of the deity for the sake of his devotees. To be merciful, to shower his mercy upon them. To give the devotees a chance to have a personal relationship with him. To give the deities a chance to serve him very personally. To take darshan of his beautiful form, etc. So the Lord has descended as the Archa Vigraha or the deity just for our sake. So at the very least, it is impolite if we don't go there to let the Lord see us, because he has come for our sake and we don't go there to see him. That's not very nice. The second reason is that, when the Lord glances on us, then we will flourish. The Lord's merciful glance will make our devotional life flourish. Just like whenever the Lord glances anywhere, that person or that place flourishes. Kunti Maharani also says that all these forests and the villages and everything is flourishing and looking beautiful and opulent because of your merciful glance. So similarly, if the Lord looks upon us, then our devotional life will also become beautiful, it will flourish, and we will progress in our Krishna consciousness. Also, thirdly, the Lord feels very happy when he sees his devotees. Just as we feel very happy when we see the Lord also feels happy when he sees us. The Lord doesn't like to be alone. That is the reason he has expanded himself into everything. Eko Bahusyam. That's the Upanishad, that's the verse from the Upanishads. One became many. The one Lord has expanded himself in order to exchange transcendental relationships and mellows with the devotees. So when the Lord sees the devotees, he feels very happy. And because the Lord becomes happy, we also become happy. So this is Saznanya Krishna. To make Krishna happy, and then we also become happy. Spasiba. So I will take the first question here. The first question is, if the mind is overwhelmed with some day-to-day problems, is it allowed to go to get darshan of the deities, or should we first try to calm down the mind to avoid committing an offense to the deity? And what is the best way for you to calm down the mind? Okay, interesting and practically relevant question. Well, you cannot probably have darshan of the deities all the time because you may be living far away from the temple, and it may not be possible for you to go there at very short notice all of a sudden. So in any case, there is a restriction on when and how you can go to the temple. But if the mind is disturbed, the best thing to do always is to chant the holy names of the Lord. Undoubtedly, wherever you are, no one can stop you from chanting the holy name. Even if you're far away from the temple, it doesn't matter, you just chant the holy names. And especially when your mind is disturbed with something, chant loudly, Srila Prabhupada says, and your mind will calm down immediately. And then you are in a much better devotional mood to go in front of the deities. Another point is that whilst chanting the holy names, when your mind is disturbed, if you wish, you can still go to the deities, no problem. But what you can do when you go in front of the deities is to pray to the Lord for relief so that your mind can be calm and you can actually appreciate devotional service and relish the beauty of the Lord. So you can pray to the deity face to face to calm your mind down so that you can offer your services and your gratitude and your prayers to the deity. Okay, so the second question. If there is no faith in the deity, what can be done? Now, generally, even if there is no faith, but if one is not inimical or hostile or very offensive, if one comes with an open mind, if one comes even with a slightly submissive spirit, just by looking at the deity, which is gorgeously decorated, one feels great spiritual inspiration. Srila Prabhupada says in one purport in the second canto. Even a neophyte devotee who lacks the proper understanding philosophically, who also lacks the faith, but even when such a such a neophyte devotee comes in front of the Lord, in front of the deity, he or she feels spiritual inspiration. So certainly one can go, even if one has no faith, and by gradually going in front of the deity and by chanting the holy names, one can actually gradually develop that faith. The third question here is, when I look at the deities, my mind immediately starts evaluating them, whether the outfits are beautiful or not. I do not really like the outfits today. The eyes are not symmetrical, and so on. Is it very bad? How can I stop my mind from trying to measure the deities with material measures? So, very nice question. Well, because we're examining or we're gazing at the deities with devotion and with so much, we see every part of the deity's form. So naturally, we will notice these things. It is unavoidable. You will notice maybe something is not symmetrically placed, etc. So it's one thing, but don't let it spoil your joy and appreciation of the deity's form. If there is any difference, and that happens to me also sometimes when I go there and I see that maybe a feather is dangling down, it was like this, it has fallen down like that, then I can go and tell the pujari, please adjust the peacock feather. So that is fine. So if it's just a little adjustment that needs to be made, then you can go and request the pujari to do it. Regarding the outfits, yes, you may, but don't get too carried away with that. But if you like the outfit and say, oh, what a gorgeous outfit today, or the deities are looking marvelous today, that kind of appreciation is very nice. The next question. How to avoid offenses toward the deities? There is a whole chapter in the Nectar of Devotion that speaks about how to avoid offenses against the deities. That is called Seva Aparad. That is chapter 8. Aparad means offense. So Nam Aparad means offenses against the holy names. That includes Vaishnava Aparad. And there is also something called Seva Aparad, which means offenses against the deity form of the Lord, offenses that could be taking place within the temple. So please read chapter 8 of Nectar of Devotion. And there you will understand there is a list of things that one should not do and one should do. Also, if you read the Nectar of Devotion about the items of devotional service, there also you will know what to do and what not to do. But in chapter 8, specifically, the topic of offenses has been covered. So when you know what the offenses are, then you will take care to avoid them. Okay, the next question. Does the deity interact with a not qualified devotee? I was given a deity of Gopal, and sometimes it drinks the water from the cup that I put on the altar, and the cup of Tulsi remains full. Well, the deity can interact with anyone he chooses or she chooses. Generally, however, as Srila Prabhupada has explained in the purports, they will interact with very advanced devotees and there will be reciprocation. However, sometimes the extreme happens. The deities sometimes manifest pastimes even with demoniac people, and they kill them, and they may do so many things like that. As far as we ordinary devotees are concerned, well, yes, the Lord also reciprocates in so many ways. There are so many stories and pastimes of this. In Maya, for example, if you ask Jananivas Prabhu or Pankajangri Prabhu, you will get so many stories of how the deities there have reciprocated with the devotees, or just ordinary devotees like us. So such reciprocation of the deities with the devotees can happen. Mhm. I'm speaking in a general way. I'm not referring to the specific instance that you're talking about. That I cannot say. But these things are possible. Okay. Next question is, okay. So all questions so far implies that there are no more questions, right? Okay, fine. So thank you all very much. And I'm very happy to have, uh, to be with all of you. And I hope and pray that uh, you will continue to keep good health and that you will progress in your Krishna consciousness individually and collectively, and that your respective temples and yatras will flourish, and your preaching activities and your sadhana will also grow and become very strong. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.